You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listing show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. With experience over decades now, it has slowly become clear what great artists may have to go through when they make demands that may affect Sony's financial position, even though the corporation makes billions from the artist whose music they distribute. The monster company has been the #1 suspect for fueling R. Kelly's current legal ordeals, as a way of keeping his mouth shut while they hold onto his hard-earned money and unpaid and misappropriated funds. In fact, at the moment, this Sony giant does believe they have R. Kelly right where they want him, and that is inside a federal prison with his fans helplessly waiting and hoping the Supreme Court does the right thing to set him free. Outside the Brooklyn courthouse back during the New York trial, a young man who identified himself as his godson did speak on Sony's involvement in R. Kelly's legal matters without fear of what may happen to him and said, "It wasn't until R. Kelly made demands that Sony pays him his billions that his problems begun." In his statement to the press, he labeled Sony as a thief that is looking to take control of Mr. Kelly's masters, and that it's ready to do anything in their power to achieve this. In fact, it does look like Sony will spare no resource to take down its own artists whenever they become a threat to the corporation finances. This is why it's the exceptional artists at risk like we saw with Michael Jackson and now R. Kelly. In 1995, when Sony still needed Michael Jackson, the company entered into a joint venture with him and formed Sony Music Publishing. Before his demise, Michael was opting out of this partnership, and this meant a huge financial giveaway by the corporation which it couldn't agree to. It's then that Michael Jackson's misunderstandings with Sony started, and in no time, he was battling charges of child molestation, and just like Sony is doing with the case against R. Kelly, they spared no dollar in taking on the king of pop again with the selfish desire to take control of all his music. Lucky to win his case, Michael's charges were all dropped, but Sony, which would not give up without a fight, still found a way to send him to an early grave using his doctor, who was not going to resist the huge offers to take down his boss. In one way or another, Sony Corporation was going to get what it wanted, and in 2016, they managed to buy out Michael's family for cheap. At the moment, we see a similar pattern of events happening with R. Kelly, only that the allegations this time are not to do with kids but supposedly underage girls of 17 going to 18, now being used as weapons to completely destroy the R&B king. It's known that not so long ago, R. Kelly walked into a banking hall for the first time to check on his balances, only to find that a lot of money has been taken out by Sony Corporation without his knowledge. When the inquiries about this started, the legal problems also kicked off, and since then, R. Kelly has had no peace. It would be a great coincidence if Sony was not involved that these events happen one following the other. Even if Sony has done all they can to keep a low profile, the receipts of their involvement are quite conspicuous, and there is no doubt that what we are seeing is a replica of what transpired with Michael. A while ago we did publish a video that showed how Sony staff were warmly receiving petitions from would-be mute R. Kelly activists, who stormed their offices in a manner that showed they were well prepared, for they knew they were coming anyway.
The music industry and RCA Records helped R. Kelly use his fame to abuse girls, and that's something that cannot stand.
R. Kelly! Mute R. Kelly! Mute R. Kelly! Mute R. Kelly! Mute R. Kelly!
After all, Sony, which was secretly the chief organizer of the campaign, had to know when these activists were meant to arrive, and indeed, they had prepared boxes to receive the bulk of petitions, and assembled a representative of the corporation to open the doors and give them a warm welcome. It's in fact hard to believe that these activists were never on Sony's payroll, especially since it was discovered that it was Sony behind the surviving R. Kelly TV production. Remember, Sony is the largest shareholder in Lifetime Television and therefore the employer of Dream Hampton and her team. With all signals pointing at Sony as the architect of R. Kelly's legal problems, we are left to wonder who they will be taking down next. This also explains why the record label was quick to drop R. Kelly even before he was subjected to any trial. It's still a mystery how they were able to determine Kelly guilty before he was tried. But then when you think of their involvement as the major stakeholders in his takedown, everything makes sense. They knew the outcome they had paid for and did not expect anything different. This gave them the confidence to take the decision to drop him even before any due process, unlike other companies like YouTube which patiently waited for a verdict. Until today, it's still unclear who among the women groups spoken of could have spent their hard-earned money chattering a Cessna with the Mute R. Kelly banner to fly across the Sony offices if it's not the corporation itself that paid for it. Of course they needed to justify their malicious action of dropping him prematurely, and so they invested in this. It's rather unfortunate to see how our country has slowly degenerated into a nation of tokenism where large corporations determine who lives and who doesn't, or who goes to prisons and who remains free. It's a shame, but this is where we are now. R. Kelly's rights were all violated and his reputation destroyed on the orders of Sony. This company until today has adamantly refused to pay what they owe the R&B king, and has instead preferred to play games with the hope of getting away with it. According to Angela Lee, "I have never seen a fraudulent case like that against R. Kelly. Most of his accusers committed premeditated perjury and deserve to be locked up while he gets released. The parents and daughters who were also part of the scam should be locked up. His so-called ex-girlfriends simply pretended to be in love with him but were only targeting his wealth, fame and lifestyle. It's no wonder Sony found it easy to manipulate these into turning against him. All the same though, there is no real case against R. Kelly and his haters ought to back off and let him live. There is in fact a visible problem with the way Sony deals with its great artists. Why would they all be ending up broke and dead in their 50s? This company should be investigated." If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.